She's upset about something, and you absolutely know, she's got the facts wrong. She's misremembering what happened. She's misinterpreting what you meant. She's jumping to conclusions that don't make sense. You're sitting there thinking, how am I supposed to listen to this when she's completely wrong about what actually happened? So you interrupt. You correct her. You explain the real version of events. And somehow that makes everything worse instead of better. Let me show you how to handle situations where your wife is wrong about something, but you still need to listen, without lying and without letting the wrong version become the truth. Here's what you need to understand first. When your wife is upset, being right matters way less than you think it does. I know that sounds backwards. You're a logical person. Facts matter. The truth matters. How can you just let her be wrong? But here's what's happening. She's not upset because of the facts of what happened. She's upset because of how the situation made her feel. And those feelings? Those are real even when her version of events isn't exactly accurate. So when you immediately jump to correcting the facts, you're missing the emotional truth underneath. You're treating this like a courtroom where establishing the accurate timeline is the most important thing. But this isn't a courtroom. It's your marriage. And what she needs isn't a lawyer proving she's wrong. What she needs is a partner who cares that she's hurting. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. She's upset because she thinks you forgot something important she asked you to do. In reality, you did it yesterday, but she didn't notice. She's going on about how you never remember things she asks for. Your instinct is to jump in immediately. Actually, I did do that yesterday. Look, it's right there, so you're wrong about this. Technically correct. But now she feels stupid on top of upset, and you've just turned this into an argument about who's right instead of addressing whatever's really bothering her. Here's the better approach. I can see you're really frustrated. It sounds like you're feeling like things you ask for don't get done. You're acknowledging the feeling underneath, that she doesn't feel like her requests are being honored. That feeling is valid even though in this specific instance, the facts are wrong. After she feels heard on the emotional level, then you can gently add, I did actually take care of that yesterday. But I hear you that this has been a pattern that's bothering you. Is there something bigger we need to talk about? See the difference? You're not letting the wrong facts stand, but you're addressing the feeling first before correcting the details. And you're being curious about what the real issue might be instead of just defending yourself. Here's another scenario. She's upset about something you said, but she's completely misunderstanding what you meant. She thinks you were criticizing her when you were actually just making an observation about something else entirely. Old response. That's not what I meant at all. You're totally misreading this. Now she feels stupid for misunderstanding, and you still haven't addressed that she's upset. New response. I can see what I said really hurt you. That wasn't my intention at all. Let me try again. What I was actually trying to say is, you're acknowledging the hurt first. Then you're clarifying what you meant. You're not making her wrong for misunderstanding. You're taking responsibility for not being clear. Here's the key principle. Validation doesn't equal agreement. You can validate that she's upset without agreeing that her version of events is correct. You can acknowledge her emotional experience without endorsing her interpretation of what happened. Try phrases like, I can see why you'd feel that way if that's what you thought happened. From your perspective, I understand why you're upset. It makes sense that bothered you based on how you experienced it. Notice what these do? They acknowledge her feelings are real while leaving room for different interpretations of the facts. Now let me address what you're probably thinking. But what if she keeps insisting on the wrong version? Do I just let her be wrong? No. You can correct the facts. You just do it after you've acknowledged the feelings. And you do it gently without making her feel stupid. I hear you. And I want to make sure we're on the same page about what actually happened, because I think there might be some miscommunication here. Can I share my perspective? You're asking permission to correct instead of just bulldozing in with, you're wrong and here's why. Here's something else that matters. Sometimes your wife isn't actually wrong about the facts. She's wrong about your intentions. She thinks you did something to hurt her. You know you didn't mean it that way. So technically she's wrong about your motive even if the action itself happened. In those cases, you need to validate the impact before defending the intention. I can see that really hurt you. I'm sorry. That wasn't what I intended at all, but I understand that's how it landed. Let me explain what was actually going on for me. You're apologizing for the impact without agreeing. The intention was bad. You're separating those two things. Here's what not to do when she's wrong but upset. Don't immediately correct her before acknowledging how she feels. Actually, that's not what happened, as your first response just creates defensiveness. Don't make her feel stupid for being wrong. I can't believe you don't remember. Or, how could you think that? Those make everything worse. Don't keep arguing about who's right after you've clarified. If you've explained your perspective and she's still processing, let her process. Don't keep hammering the point. And don't use, well, you're wrong, as a way to avoid accountability. Sometimes she might have some facts wrong, but the core issue is still valid. Here's a real example of how this plays out. She's upset because she says you promised to be home by 6 and you weren't. You're certain you said 6:30. She's adamant it was 6. Old approach. I definitely said 6:30. You must have misheard. I never said 6. Now you're in an argument about who said what, and nobody wins. New approach. I can see you're really frustrated that I was late. I honestly thought we said 6:30, but I could have been unclear. Either way, I'm sorry you were waiting and feeling like I didn't show up when I said I would. You're acknowledging her frustration and apologizing for the impact, even though you genuinely don't think you got the time wrong. You're not agreeing you said 6, but you're not making that the hill to die on either. Here's the deeper truth about situations like this. Being right doesn't matter as much as being connected. You can win the argument about who's technically correct and lose the relationship moment. Or you can prioritize understanding what she's really upset about and address that, even if some facts need gentle correction along the way. Most of the time when your wife is upset and has some facts wrong, the facts aren't actually the point. There's something underneath, a feeling of being dismissed, not valued, not heard, not prioritized. Address that feeling first. Then, if the facts still matter, you can clarify them gently once she feels heard. Here's how to actually do this when the moment comes. She's upset and saying things that you know aren't accurate. Take a breath. Don't immediately jump to correcting her. Listen for the feeling underneath what she's saying. Is she feeling dismissed, unimportant, hurt, frustrated? Respond to that feeling first. I can hear how upset you are about this. Help me understand what's really bothering you. Let her explain more. Often when she feels heard on the emotional level, the factual inaccuracies become less important to her too. Then, if you need to clarify facts, do it gently. I want to make sure I understand what happened from your side. From my perspective, it went like this. Does that sound right, or am I missing something? You're inviting dialogue instead of declaring the truth. You're making space for the possibility that you might both have parts of the story. Here's what changes when you handle it this way. She feels heard, even when you disagree about what happened. The conversation doesn't derail into an argument about who's right. You actually get to the real issue instead of getting stuck on factual disputes. And honestly, sometimes you'll discover you were the one with some facts wrong, or that you both remember it differently, and the truth is somewhere in between. But even when you're absolutely certain she's got it wrong, leading with validation and following with gentle clarification works better than leading with, "You're wrong." So next time your wife is upset and you know she's got some facts wrong, resist that urge to immediately correct her. Listen for the feeling underneath. Acknowledge that first. Then, if needed, gently clarify the facts once she feels heard. That approach, validation before correction, That's how you handle being right without creating distance. Comment below. Is it hard for you not to correct her when you know she's wrong? What makes that difficult? If you want more tools for handling these tricky moments, grab the ebook. Links in the first comment or my bio.